Good evening, everybody. It's so good to see everyone's face. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient with us. My name is Robbie Jones from Committee for Racial Justice, for those who don't know me. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out. We're so pleased and honored again to be giving this wonderful candidates forum. Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District, trustee board, SNC trustee board, and the rent control board. We're so happy to be doing this again with the League of Women Voters. I mean, we're in partnership again with them, and it always works out regardless of the kinks. So I hope everybody found parking. If you know someone that's coming, that, you know, they might not know if there's not enough parking here, there's overflow parking. The park has been very, adaptable and considerate working with us and finding parking, because we know this is a public park and people have events. So I want to introduce you to our wonderful moderator today, which is Erika Bell. I won't take up any more time.
Good evening, my name is Erika Bell, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica. I will be your moderator for this evening. This year, we have a situation in which the number of people who were qualified by the city clerk's office to run for the Rent Control Board and Santa Monica College Board of Trustees turned out to be the same number of candidates as there were openings. When this happens, those candidates automatically assume office upon being sworn in during a brief ceremony before the December City Council meeting. That also means that they won't be appearing on your ballot. The forum committee decided that it would be valuable for us to hear from them this evening. So they have been invited to speak for 5 minutes each and to introduce themselves briefly and share with us their priorities for the work ahead. Please note that we have timers in the front row facing the dais. One of them will track the time, the other will hold up the timing paddles. If you could hold up your 2 paddles, thank you. Stop, and 15 seconds. When you see the stop sign, please finish your sentence. We have the following with us this evening. In person, we'll hear from Rent Control Board, for Rent Control Board, Kay Emrys and Phyllis Studick. And coming to us via Zoom, we'll have for Santa Monica College Board of Trustees, Anastasia Foster. And Kay and Phyllis, if you could join us up here. And also, just before we get started, just want to make sure that you take a look in the back and see we have cards if you want to write a question on the card. And for our candidates this evening, and then you can give them back, or some people will be coming around. Thank you. All right. And we'll start out with Kay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Camrys, and I'm a Santa Monica Rent Control Board Commissioner. I had the honor of first being appointed to the board on June 13th of this year, and now I have the honor of serving you for a full 4-year term. I got my start as a tenant advocate nearly 2 decades ago, when I had the opportunity to work with Larry Gross at the Coalition for Economic Survival as an intern when I was attending college at Occidental. Later, when I lived in San Francisco to attend law school at UC Hastings, I joined the Eviction Defense Collaborative, where I helped tenants facing unlawful detainer cases, connecting them to emergency rental assistance and other programs. I continue to be an advocate for renters here in Santa Monica through my work as a hotliner and steering committee member of Santa Monicans for Renters' Rights. I've already started working on some exciting projects on the rent board, including efforts to expand access to information in other languages. We are also beginning a process to do implicit bias training under the guidance of Dr. Karen Gunn, so that our board can better serve our community. I'm available to meet with you to discuss your priorities and interests. I have been meeting with both tenants and landlords, and I'm always open to hearing all sides of an issue. And if Proposition 33 passes, the Justice for Renters Act, I hope to be able to work with my colleagues on the Rent Control Board and other community stakeholders to implement stronger protections for our city. We have a lot of work to do as a community. Let's not forget that renters are facing new and evolving threats. Thanks to the work of dedicated activists, residents at Barrington Plaza won their court case, but thousands of other renters are facing eviction threats every day. I promise to fight for all Santa Monica renters to build a community where families can live safely and securely without worrying about losing their homes. Thank you.
And next we'll have the lesbian.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. I look forward to serving Santa Monica as a rent control commissioner beginning in December. I want to thank all of those who have encouraged, endorsed, and supported me. My 36-year career in public service leadership with the City of Los Angeles provided broad experience and background working with ethnically, culturally, socioeconomically, demographically diverse communities from Hollywood to Venice Beach to Pico Robertson, Del Rey to the hills of Brentwood and beyond, including a 600-unit low-income housing community and working with the senior population for nearly 20 years. I became involved with Santa Monicans for renters' rights. I became involved with Santa Monica's for renters' rights in 2022, becoming an early advocate for ballot measures RCNEM, which successfully won voter approval, ensuring greater renter protections in times of peril. Santa Monica, whoops. I'm sorry, I seem to have misplaced my note here. I've been an active community volunteer in Santa Monica since 2010, including serving as a board member on one of the Santa Monica's 7 official neighborhood associations for nearly 8 years, and as a member of the Annenberg Beach House Docent Council for 13 years, among other projects. As a Santa Monica renter in a rent-controlled building, I am grateful for the protections our rent control laws provide to all renters, including strong anti-discrimination laws, eviction protections, certainly rent stabilization, and the predictability that breeds, a free mediation program, and so much more. As a rent control board commissioner, I will join Kay and 3 other commissioners as a steward for Santa Monica's 45-year rent control law, state and federal laws, city regulations, and ordinances, always working to enhance protections thoroughly. Priorities will present themselves, though continuing and expanding tenant and landlord education will remain a top priority. The passage of Proposition 33, the Justice for Renters Act, on the November ballot repeals the Costa-Hawkins Act and brings authority back to the rent control cities in California. I will welcome robust community and stakeholder input and common sense reform to Costa-Hawkins and to the State Ellis Act, which Kay referred to in her presentation. I depended on the League of Women Voters to present nonpartisan pros and cons for the ballot measures to communities before elections for many, many years. Thank you to all of you for all you do to empower and inform the electorate and inspire our vote. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for participating here with us tonight. And next we'll go to Anastasia Foster if she's available via Zoom.
I'm here. I know that Zoom is tough in there, so you may not be able to see me, but I'm here with you. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Anastasia Foster. And I am one of the 3 candidates that qualified for Santa Monica College Board of Trustees. In 2 months, I will have finished almost 9 years on the Santa Monica Rent Control Board. It has been the honor of my life, and I am really sad to leave it behind. But I am always going to be there to help the renters of our community, as I am one. I'm in my 2nd rent control department with my son, and moving on to my other love, my first love, which is education, which my degree is in, and which I have studied to work in. As only the 2nd person in my family to ever graduate college, I understand the struggles our students face with life changes and non-traditional paths through this life, and community college, even more than our CSUs and our UCs. Community college is where we can do the most good, and where Santa Monica College has always excelled, and will continue to do so, and be a great supporter of our community with our emeritus college and with all of the programs we offer to our high school students, far and wide. So I'm really proud of that work that the college has already done. I look forward to just learning and learning and learning from my colleagues, from the students, and from the staff and faculty. And like Kay said, my door is always open. Happy to meet everybody for whom the college is a big part of their lives. And I look forward to working with CRJ and the league and everyone in our city and our community here and Malibu to make the college as good as it can be and be great. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. Appreciate you participating via Zoom. Right, and our school candidates have already taken their seats, so we will now take a moment. If we're taking a moment, or if we can, if everyone's prepared, we can just move into, all right, we'll move into tonight's candidate forum. All right. Well, welcome to Vote 2024 Board of Education, a hybrid candidates forum presenting candidates for the Santa Monica Malibu Board of Education. My name is Erika Bell. I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica, and I will be your moderator for the rest of the forum. This forum is being co-sponsored by the Committee for Racial Justice, CRJ, and the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica Education Fund, the League. Both co-sponsors are nonpartisan, nonprofit organizations and never support or oppose candidates for public office. The Committee for Racial Justice was founded in 2011 in the wake of a racial incident at Samuel High involving an African American on the wrestling team and a brown tackling dummy with a noose around its neck. The original volunteer steering committee was half Black and half white, made up of folks who realized that incidents like this and the sweep it under the rug reaction from the school district at the time indicated a need for more education on the reality and harm of racism, both personal and systemic. In the 13 years since then, CRJ members have had monthly workshops, met with community leaders and groups, advocated for changes in policy, primarily in education, criminal justice, policing, and housing arenas. Their mission statement is, with the conviction that all human beings deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, we are committed to combating all forms of racial injustice, whether overt or covert, whether individualized or systemic, that may still take place in our community. While racism affects many cultural groups, we are especially drawn to focus on the severe impact it has on the African American community. The League of Women Voters of Santa Monica is a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. The League was officially founded in Chicago in 1920, 104 years ago, and just 6 months before the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States was ratified and women won the vote. Moving through the years, the League sponsored televised general election presidential debates in 1980 and 1984, as well as presidential primary forums in 1980 1984, and 1988. The debates focused on nonpartisan issues with the main goal of informing voters. However, as candidates demanded increasingly partisan conditions, the league withdrew its sponsorship of general election presidential debates in 1988. However, leagues around the country with the strong belief that hearing from our candidates is important continue to hold debates and forums for local and state offices like this one. For more than 100 years, the league has been and continues to be a nonpartisan activist grassroots organization that believes voters should play a critical role in democracy. For more information about tonight's co-sponsors, please visit their table in the back of the room. Before we go any further, let's go over a few ground rules. First of all, as a matter of courtesy, we ask that everyone please turn off the sound on your electronic devices. Please note that unauthorized videos are not allowed. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, requires that a debate or forum must not be edited and must be broadcast in its entirety. Our forum is open to the public, accessible by Zoom, and the forum recording will be posted on our co-sponsors' YouTube channels. To maintain the neutrality of this forum, campaign literature and other forms of campaigning, such as buttons, T-shirts, and signs, are not permitted inside the forum room. During tonight's forum, you will be hearing from the three candidates who are running for the 3 open seats on the Santa Monica Unified School District Board of Education. Each candidate participating in tonight's forum will have the opportunity to answer a variety of questions. This forum is designed to raise and address issues that our communities may not hear in other forums. Questions have been gathered in advance from co-sponsoring organizations and will be asked in random order according to a blind matrix created by the league. We will also be asking questions submitted by you, our audience. Again, if you would like to submit a question, please grab a note card and you can put your question on note card and hand it back into the table. Questions should be focused on issues and not single out individual candidates. Questions that include personal attacks will not be used. Written questions from the audience will be asked by me, your moderator. Timing this evening will be done by Gina Frazier and Karen Carey here in the front. And they are sitting again here in the front with us, and that's so that you all, the audience, can see them, and also, of course, our candidates can see them. And again, if you can hold those paddles up one more time, please. We have 15 seconds and then stop. And the candidates, again, when you see the stop sign, please finish your sentence. All candidates participating in tonight's forum have signed a confirmation form committing to standards of civility and courtesy, helping maintain an atmosphere of respect and tolerance throughout the forum. Thank you very much. In terms of format, this is a forum, not a debate, and does not allow exchange between candidates. Each candidate is presenting him or herself only. The forum itself is for the purpose of informing you, the voters, how they stand on the issues. And now it is my pleasure to call on the 2024 candidates for the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District Board of Education to call out your names, beginning on my right. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm John Keene. I was first elected to the school board in 2016, and this would be my 3rd term if I'm so fortunate to be elected. Oh, you want me to do a proper intro? Oh, is this full intro now?
Oh.
You want full intro?
Just your name.
Oh, hi, I'm John Keene. Ignore what you heard before.
Hi, Jennifer Smith. Good evening, Maria Leon Vasquez.
Doing it already. We're getting started.
Christine Calavera had committed to being a part of this evening's forum, but unfortunately is ill tonight, and regretfully is not be here, but looks forward to participating in our forum on September 30th. All right, so let's get started. Let's get to our first round. With our first round, we will start off with questions gathered in advance from our co-sponsoring organizations. And the questions will go to all 3 of you, the candidates, and you have 1 minute to answer. What in your background leads you to believe that you are or would be an effective school board member for a district like this one? Starting with John.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, League of Women Voters. Thank you, Committee for Racial Justice. What is my background? Well, you've all seen me do this job for the past 8 years, so there is that tangible results, hopefully, that you've seen from that. What else in my background? I was raised in Philadelphia. I started at a very large public school. Due to economic changes, 5 of 11 elementary schools closed. My parents shipped me off to a small Quaker school as a result of that. At that point, that's where I learned service learning. That's where I learned what it meant to be truly a member of a community. So I think that is something that's key. The second thing, I was raised by a family that made it very clear that the room was always more important than any one single individual in it. And I think, I know I can see that at the yellow side. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer is the school board president, so I will listen to her and not finish my thought.
Maria Leona.
Buenas noches, good evening, everybody. Well, I think my biggest experience is I've been on the board for almost 24 years. So part of it has been with the passion for me to follow up, because I was a product of a lower socioeconomic, I'm an immigrant, working class family raised in Santa Monica. And I think I have a distinct perspective in terms of what the needs are for students like myself. That I had a lot of disparities growing up in terms of education, and I wanted an education. That's why we came to this country for education. So for me, that was my passion, to make sure that I got my education. I went to college and professional school, and I strongly believe that we need diversity on the school board. I've been lucky enough that with my colleagues, I've had just that, the opportunity to be diverse and they listen to my perspective.
Sorry, John, I will not keep talking anymore. Hi, I'm Jennifer Smith. Why do I think I'm qualified? I think that, actually, I blame John King. I brought my kids to elementary school, and he was the PTA president at Roosevelt Elementary School, and he pulled me into the PTA, and I realized very quickly what the challenges in our district look like, and so I dove in, and with the amazing community, I just find this community to be amazing. And so I've been working with various groups over 15 years to figure out how to be able to do more in our district, how to be able to meet each child at its need, how to be able to how to be able to lift up kids in ways that are very meaningful. So I will stop there.
Thank you. We'll go to our second round. This question will go to each of you. Again, I will be calling on you in random order, and you'll have 1 minute to answer. What step or steps do you see as necessary to improve the academic success of the lowest achieving SNM-USD students? Starting again with John Key.
Great, well, it's interesting you brought that question, because that was my introduction. Why am I doing this again? We have an outstanding school district. That is not a subjective term. We are an outstanding school district for 75 to 80% of the kids that walk through our door. And that's why we're doing this. For the 20 to 25% of the children that still have not accessed the opportunity that our school district has to offer. So to me, it's functions of engagement. It's functions of what our staff looks like. It's what our curriculum looks like. We always say, can I see myself in the curriculum? Not so much of that, but can I see empathy in the curriculum? Can I see things that challenge me in the curriculum? And do I have a safe space to access that and have that discussion? I do not want our children put into a binary world where they're told to think this or think that. That's why I'm running, and that's what I want to do. We talk about this all the time. We're outstanding. We know we have to do better on the engagement front with our pathways and with other things to get that 20-25%.
I was thinking the same exact thing as Maria, and I've heard her say at many a meeting, that 25% is what we're always concentrating on. And like, besides trying to engage everybody, but really, where are the needs? And I will be talking about individualized education plans, and we'll be talking about engagement, and we'll be talking about our new pathway systems and our CTE programs, where every kid might not see themselves in a college bound. We've been talking about starting at that we have TK at preschool and 0 to 3 and what that looks like and how we can engage there. We've been talking about what we've not just been talking, we've been doing. We've been how emotional and social emotional education lifts kids up. And I'll stop there.
Well, just to change it up a little bit, it's the reverse for me, in terms of the way this, we are such a high district that we fall within the 5% statewide, nationwide, locally. However, that 25% of our top-notch students get us there. Only 25%. What happens to the other 75? And I'm not saying that all of the 75 are not doing well, but they can even be doing better if there was support for that massive 75%. We hired a new superintendent, Dr. Shelton, and I really support him. I'm here for the long run to support him. He introduced his 6 priorities of changes that are gonna take place in the next, term, in the next 2 to 3 years, with professional development, with engaging with the students, and with support from the community. We're gonna get there and close that gap.
Thank you. Moving on to round 3. The first question here is, what is the difference between an anti-racist curriculum and one that has the goal of teaching students to be colorblind? As a school board member, how would you answer that question? And we'll start with Maria Leon.
Well, I guess the only thing I reflect is I know we started off with DEI this year, our perspective with diversity, equity, and inclusion piece, that we're training most of our teachers this year to get on board to understand what does that really mean. And really in Santa Monica, I've always said that, and I'll say it again, and there's always that subtlety of racism in the city. And I think that's something that we have to reflect on. And it's something that the students have to understand, because when you really look at it, students, when they start off, they see no color. I see my grandbabies, they see no color. And my kids, my grandbabies are Chinese Mexican. They see no color. So when I ask them, like, are you Chinese or Mexican? They go, I'm just Anita, or I'm just Emilio. They say their names. So they see no color. And how do we go bring that perspective further on as they enter middle school and high school? And I think we have a good perspective in terms of the training that we're gonna do with everybody on staff to get us through.
And Jennifer Smith. And if you can hold the microphone just a bit lower, it gets muffled when it's too close.
So I think the difference is that colorblindness doesn't really acknowledge the history of our country. Nor does it have the imperative to take action or correct the cumulative harm that's been done. And like the differences between equity and equality, being colorblind doesn't meet students at their needs. I think while I agree with Maria that kids are not born with color in mind, I think we have a society that doesn't see it that way, and kids learn from parents who might not see it that way, and we have to deal with it at our schools. And figuring out how to open their minds and have them understand each other better and earlier is what we need to do.
So yes, it would be wonderful to live in a society where no one saw color, no one saw difference, no one saw other. We do not live in that world. So to me, that's what Jennifer and Maria were pointing to. I worked with a group of kids from the Freedom Writers Project in Long Beach. And I wanted to talk to young children who grew up in disadvantaged backgrounds. And I said, do you remember what you dreamed of being when you were little? Did you dream of being a fireman? Did you dream of being a baseball player? Did you dream of being a teacher? What did you dream of? And they said, I do not ever remember having a dream for my future. And that to me is what this question represents. How do we create that hope? How do we create that opportunity? How do we create programs at schools where everybody has that access, not just to a curriculum, but access to being heard, to being seen, and be given the space to understand it. We need to meet people, we need to meet people one-on-one and do that hard work. That's the way we get past this.
Thank you, candidates. Moving on to round 4. What measures do you feel should be implemented or added to our school plans to ensure the safety of students and staff in SMMUSD during an emergency? And we'll start with Jennifer Smith for this one.
Well, from the terrible incident last week, we've just learned that there are new systems available that really help make sure that kids know what to do and that the quickest action can be taken. So I think, and we asked on the dais at the last meeting, where Lieberman asked the superintendent to look into that, and we will definitely do that. I think we're always honing our safety plans, in our site work, in our site plans that where they exist. I think every year we're talking about. Last year we had some new drills introduced, and I hope to see that in the future where people feel that our teachers, our staff, and hopefully we can teach it to our children, feel more empowered to be able to be more successful in emergency situations.
And Maria, that's been.
Well, I think, ladies, we do have safety plans in place right now at all of the schools, all the teachers, all the principals have to submit their safety plan. Of course, there's a constant need to always look at them annually and have drills. I think we need to have drills. I think we do that when we have a great, I think the shakeout is coming up in I don't know, in October. But we need to do more than that. We have to, unfortunately, the society is putting us in a situation where it creates that fear. And we need to, how do we, at least be able to show the students to not react, but to react in a positive way in case such a situation like that comes to our any one of our schools that be ready. The other thing is working with the police. We really need to put back those, community safety officers. We need them back. And without them, because they're the ones that I think will be able to create that calmness, and if we can have again those that resource, and we can have the meetings with the students and have the police there, I think there would be a sense of safety.
So the physical question, I think, is the slightly easier one to answer. The highest quality locks, we have new things that go onto the windows of classrooms. We have, there's new IDs, they use these in Georgia, the teachers have IDs that actually have emergency responders on them. So they, within 1 minute, police were notified, resources were notified. The physical stuff, we will do that. The other thing is the emotional side. Why do we always hear when there's a shooting or there's something that happens at our school? Oh yeah, I knew it was gonna be him. If we all knew, why didn't we do anything? This is where our first responders are the people you see on campus are security guards. Anybody who works on campus needs to be reaching out to students. Every student needs to have somebody. And then in terms of training, even the earthquake we just had up in Malibu, those kids were like, hey, we actually got to do a real drill. We went exactly the way we were supposed to do. Like the youngest kids were so excited that everything they practiced, they did, and it actually mattered. So it actually means more to them now.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question, again, 60 seconds for each answer. We know that around the country, parents are coming to the school board and demanding the removal of certain books from the curriculum and/or the library. As an elected school board member, how would you respond to these demands? Let's start with John King.
No. No. The fact that someone's gonna say, don't read Anne Frank because there's sex in it. Don't read this book because it might make you think one way or the other. The whole point of literature is to challenge you. If everything is safe, what are we doing? It's like comedy. You can't do comedy without a little bit on the edge. Literature is meant to challenge you, expand you, infuriate you. If you read literature that just is nice, what have you gained from that? So not everything you read has to be that. But that has to be part of our curriculum. And parents, look, if there's something that really is troubling the parents, let's work with our parents on that. one. Why are you having a problem with this? Why is this? And trust me, I've read books that our kids read that trouble me, and I've got to work on that. That's work that we all have to do, but the answer is no, and you will never raise that red paddle to me, because I'm not gonna allow it to happen.
School of course is definitely, no. I mean, again, just like John, I do believe that the kids have to, you have to read. And they have to be challenged with the type of literature that they have. And you can't close that door for some of the students. I can see if there's some stuff in there, 'cause I remember when was it The Godfather first came out? That was they thought it was a racy book because of a little, well, I think sentences or whatever, what was seen in the movie. But, it's a conversation that have to be had, if parents have situations where they definitely need to look at something, we will. And I think this is, the board is open, I think principals are open, it can be back to PTA for discussion, whatever it may be, the doors are open to discuss. But for those specific classics that are there, it's a definite no for me.
And it is a definite no for me. First of all, I think that we need to trust our educators because they know what books are appropriate for what all ages, and I trust them to be able to provide all the literature. And I don't think that there should be there should be censorship. And I just agree with Maria and John. We if things are troubling, then we need to talk about troubling things. We need to, if they're, while people think about troubling things in terms of books as maybe sexual but also, hate is very troubling. We should be able to talk about things and be able to show our kids how to walk through the world when those things happen, because they are gonna happen. That's.
Thank you, Kendra. For this round, I'll be asking two lightning round questions. Each will be answered by all candidates. Please answer either yes or no. Do you believe the district has implemented sufficient strategies to support students' social, emotional well-being and learning losses caused by the pandemic? Again, yes or no, starting with Jen Wilson.
Wow, on the spot. Yes.
And John.
You said sufficient, I will say yes.
More to do, but yes.
Thank you.
We've been doing this long.
And the second question, are you satisfied with the extent of civic education that is being taught in our schools? Again, just yes or no, starting with Maria Leon.
I would say no, because you have to have more perspective.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say no.
Thank you all.
And that's okay. We don't have to see everything we see.
Now, for this round, for our next round, I'll ask you all to think back on those two lightning rounds. And again, congratulations. We're giving you 1 full minute to answer one of the two questions. We'll start with John Key.
That's a good one. Wow, well done, Erika Bell and League of Women Voters. Let's talk about civics. Why do I say no? I do think it shouldn't be difficult to know what the three branches of government are. It shouldn't be difficult to know how we operate as a democracy. What does it mean to be a democracy? Democracies are sloppy, democracies can be ugly, but they are the best form of government that we do have in the free world. So I do believe we need to bring them in early. I don't know if it's a specific class, but it's something that's ingrained early in kids. I think when you reach people when they're younger, it's easier to resonate them. So maybe these are project-based learning projects in middle school where kids get a little more in depth. Grew up in Philadelphia, we went to DC, we went to the courthouse in Philly, so we learned it hands-on. So maybe this is with the younger kids we started, And then we expanded to a deeper level with our high school.
No, I'll continue, and I did say yes, and I will talk about the, and I do think, mostly about high school, I think, when we talk about civics and government, and, but I also, I just had kids who graduated from high school, and so I have, I guess, I have memories of them and their understanding, and they do know the three, branches of government, and they do know, I've seen the education through the years and through every history class that they ever have taken, that they have seen that. Am I gonna say no to more? No, I'm not gonna say no to more. And I also I just saw in the Santa Monica High School, blue bulletin, the Model UN is starting up.
Great.
And they have government interest clubs and ASB, so I'm not gonna say no to more, but I believe we have adequate.
Cause I don't remember the other question, I remember this one. And I said no. And I said no, because you need to look at the history of this country. Yes, you have a constitution, you understand what it's supposed to mean, but it's not, the action is not what we're getting. And when they're going back and they're asking us to become civically involved, that you need to vote, you need to show your ID, or you need to do certain things, and they're already closing the doors for some of us to be, to civically be engaged. That's when we're gonna say, let's put a stop to this. And I think, traditionally, for me, the way civics has been taught is all biased to me. It's all run by the government, and I think we need to open it up and have more inclusion of students from various diversities. And maybe the countries they're coming from, and why is it that for them, they take a different take, and for me, like it was different for me in terms of how I see civically engagement in this country.
Sorry. Thank you, candidates. Do we have any index cards?
Yes.
Yeah.
One, yes.
For this round, I'll ask a question. Which was from the audience. Again, it will be answered by all candidates. A reminder to hold your mic left. This is Black History Month, is Black History only taught in Santa Monica schools in February? Right. We will start with Maria Leon Vasquez.
Yeah.
No, Black history not just happened that, right? It's part of the curriculum that we teach throughout the year. In terms of whether it's US history or world history, that history is part of it. And we have, and I can't even think of what we instituted as far as, ethnic studies, ACES, which is American Cultures Ethnic Studies. So that all of the ethnic groups are being represented in history being taught through ACES. And it's not just only the history, but it's also being included in all the rest of social studies and the arts. So there is that, African American or Black, history is also being taught, not just in that month. We celebrate, just like Hispanic month, the next, what is it? It's from September the 15th to October 15th. That's what the US says, but no, it's taught all throughout the year.
Jennifer.
I concur with Maria, and I think that we have made strides in understanding that curriculum has to include and have a broad perspective in anything that you're teaching, English, history, even music, even that we are expanding what we're teaching in to reflect many cultures and everybody, and especially reaching the kids in our classrooms So I would agree with Maria in the sense that, we are teaching many cultures all year long.
Yeah, when you go third, you really do have to come up with a new approach to the question. We recognize Black History in February. We recognize it publicly. We speak it in public. And when we speak things in public, it resonates. As Maria and Jennifer said, we teach it throughout the year. I've been talking about this for a lot of years. We finally integrated more local history into our curriculum. Our teachers are finally using that for projects in middle school, in 4th and 5th grade. We're finally giving our students an idea of what came before them in this community, because I was stunned when I learned about the Black history of Santa Monica. These are things we have to teach because we can physically walk the street and show it. Samuel High can look across the street and see it. We need to do more hands-on physical, feet on the ground, walking and discovering our own community, so our children can be stewards of it.
Thank you. On to our next round. For this question, each of you have 50 seconds. Do you believe controversial, sociocultural, or current events should be talked about in the classroom? If so, how should they be handled? If not, why not? Starting with John King.
Absolutely, we need to talk about, look at the world right now. We've got this side yelling at that side. We've got people who don't understand what they're yelling about. We have to talk. That's the only way to break through this. And you have to do it in small numbers. Crowd yelling at crowd will never work, but yes, I said this before, I don't want graduates of Samuel High and Malibu High to live in this binary world where things are one or the other. We have to hold multiple truths, and that's difficult. It is difficult to live in a world where we have to think broader than that, because it's like, I feel this so strongly, but there's something you're saying that actually gets through to me. We have to allow for that, and the only way we can do this conversation, I am nauseated by what I see from many of our young people now who are just yelling and there's no conversation going on, and I hold us responsible for that. We as adults need to do better and show them the pathway to that.
Jennifer.
I totally agree. Yes, I believe that we need to talk about things and we need to trust our educators to be able to talk, have these kinds of conversations with children in a classroom, in a setting that is safe, where people can speak openly and children can speak openly and try to understand each other. That is the crux of what we have to do, understand where people's fears come from, where people's opinions come from, why they have them, where they get them, what reactions they have, maybe, and let them be able to sit with other people's feelings and other people's thoughts and other people's ideas and be able to come back to the table and say, I see what you're saying now, and say, I actually have changed my mind, and say, I disagree with you. So I just think it's so important to be able to have civil conversations.
No, I agree, definitely, that has to be brought up to the table. I was a history major, and some of the issues that I recently learned about, I don't remember ever even reading or seeing any curriculum that even dealt with some of these issues. So I think we need to get away from the traditional, books that we have to buy, the statewide books, which is, I think they're biased again. And we need to really, and from what I was informed, from the legislators, is that there's only 2 or 3 companies that they buy books from. And that's a sin. And we buy those books, but we also, we also buy other stuff to work with, the teachers buy, other, other curriculum that they use, whether it's, materials that they use, but people, the diverse people have to write books, have to write the true history books.
Thank you. What are your top 3 priorities for SMMUSD from the list CRJ compiled with the community input in the wake of the Black apology affirmed by the city council 2 years ago? We'll start with Maria Leon Vasquez. Yes.
Yeah, that was, yeah, thank you, Maria.
What are your top 3 priorities for SMMUSD from the list CRJ compiled with community input in the wake of the Black apology affirmed by the city council 2 years ago?
Well, all I can reflect back is, I know that the reparations are taking place, and I do agree, I think there's, I was one of those people displaced, because I was in Pico Neighbors and I was displaced. So my family we lost our housing here, my apartment was right in the middle of the freeway. But I think that we need to support, the needs of families, and not just but I think there's monetary involved in there. And I think that we have to look at it very closely in terms of that. But to be honest with you, I don't really recall just that one particular piece in terms of the other, I'm sorry, the other issues that the CRJ might have raised, that's the only thing I could think of, and I would be here again supporting the rights of reparation for the families that lost what they lost, and now they shouldn't be here, living, can no longer, unfortunately.
I would agree with Maria. One of the things that stand out for me is the reparations piece, and I absolutely agree with that. And I think that there are been efforts to try and do that. I don't know what the whole piece looks like. I do think that we have committed to, and I don't know if this is a priority, but broadening our school curriculum to reflect all peoples and to be able to do that, and then when John talked about the history of Santa Monica, that we should definitely be able to dig into that in our classrooms and in our schools, and be able to tell the true history, as Maria alludes to, in the sense that not just what's written in textbooks, and not just what's so that's all.
And again, I apologize for not being able to recall, what was in that document. I just do not recall off the top of my head, whether it's a senior moment or whatever it is. So what I would say, I mean, I could repeat what Jennifer and Maria said. What I would say is, if anybody who was involved in the creation of that document would like to sit down and discuss it, I'm available. I'm interested to hear what y'all have to say. But I do believe that with history, if we do not speak it, it is ignored, and there's nothing worse than not providing a voice to people who have experienced any sort of trauma.
Thank you. Are there any additional index cards in fact? Okay. All right, we'll move on to our next round then. What are some of the main things students need to understand about race and racism before they graduate from any of our district high schools? And we'll start with you, John Keith.
The question is, what do students need to learn about race and racism? This is again one of those areas where I don't think I'm the best deliverer of this. I am a deliverer of how we discuss things that are uncomfortable. I like to find bridges between things, like when I look at the Black experience of America, I also see the Jewish experience of America. And I can find the delineation from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X, and how some of these partnerships ended. So I don't think I'm the best voice for this. I just go back to what I said, it's easy to hate in the abstract. It is hard to hate when you have experienced something. So whether that is work study, internship program, the more we can do to get our students into the world, the real world, that is how we're going to address a lot of these issues, I believe.
And Maria Leon Vasquez.
Well, I think like you said, we're an education institution, so for me, it's how do we begin to use the ACES curriculum to really have those conversations with all students to understand that yes, Santa Monica, when you look at it, it's not that diverse in that sense, primarily a white city, but they understand that in reality, their high school is really diverse. And wherever they go in the world, this is what they're going to see. And they're gonna have to understand as they become adults, how to work with people in general. And understanding that, like I said, they're going to be situations where they're gonna be put in color, because of the color of the race or so forth. But they're gonna need to respond, and I think the best thing, I will reflect back and reiterate, is I think the way, the curriculum that we set up under our ACES program for she's no longer here, but the person who was there, who set it up, really looked into it. And she was a PhD, and she really set it up so that, again, students would be able to understand the diversity amongst themselves and.
So, I think that, when our students leave high school, they should have, an understanding that, racism persists in America and that they can be agents of change. That they should see the pathway to change, that they have an obligation to do that in the world, that they, they need to work towards the elimination of bias, and that, they need to know that racism is an ideology that they can start. They need to know that they can choose differently, maybe from what they've seen in their family or what they've seen in the world. I think that we need to open the world to them, to other cultures and other experiences, so that they can be able to make those choices in the future.
Thank you. What are your 3 overall education priorities that, in a perfect world, you would accomplish during your time in office? And for this one, we'll start with Jennifer Smith.
I really believe that the district and the direction of the mission of the district and the direction of our district. I believe in the priorities that our superintendent has put forth. I believe engagement is a huge piece of that. That would be one of my top priorities. I think that when we can get kids excited and have them have joy in education, they can really dig in deeply and get the best experience they can have. The pathways and the CTE programs at the high school, I think are huge changes, and I think we're gonna bring that down into the middle school, so that it can be a very easy pathway from what students can see in their future. And I think that project-based learning in all of our classrooms is key to being able to do the first priority in terms of engagement, so kids can really connect with their education and see the real world usage.
And Maria, oh, sorry.
Well, for me, it's like we have I really strongly believe in the 6 priorities that Dr. Shelton has brought forth in terms of closing the achievement gap and really opening the doors for all students. That's been really key with me. That's why I'm one of the reasons why I'm running again, because I want to support and making sure that gets established with all the professional development that needs to be done with the teachers and staff, so they understand that roles are changing. And so after the pandemic, a lot of the world changed, and we cannot go back to how it was. We're now in the 21st century, and I've always reiterated since 2001, we're in the 21st century, we have to be able to move with the times and to be able to include curriculum that's gonna be supportive of all students. Of course, part of the key thing is I've always told, when I talk to the teachers, that you have to show our kids love. The kids need to understand that they have a place and that the schools are their second home. And they have to know that they belong there, and they will support them through whatever needs. So maybe the other biggest piece is saying that mental health services in all schools.
Down here. So I spoke into the biggest job of being a member of the board, is to oversee the budget and provide sound governance. I believe if our budget is sound, we can reach our priorities. If our budget is loose and always putting us on the defensive, we cannot achieve what we want to achieve. So that is the number 1 priority for me. In addition to DEI on our letterhead, we have the words belonging, curiosity, and empowerment. How do we get to that? We get to that through engagement. We get that through a curriculum, we get to that through finding a pathway for every student to find some reason to come to school, some reason to be excited. And that's the idea of creating a path for success and opportunity for everyone. So that comes from budget, it comes from engagement, and I am not giving up on expanding our schedule to create more creativity during the day for our students. I'm not giving up on that. Change in school districts can be glacial. I am not giving up. We will get it done before the iceberg melts. You're right. I should have gone with a better analogy.
We have any?
Well, that was subtle. Oh dear.
All right, and for this question, we'll move from right. How do you ensure that the equity policies that are created are implemented at the granular level?
Whoever wrote that's a really good question, because that is where the biggest disconnect that I feel as a board member sometimes is what we're told and what is happening at the school. So on one hand, Dr. Shelton has placed structures. We have structures now so that principals are overseeing. We know what's happening. We know that if the board has direction, that it is being followed. At the same time, trust but verify. We need to get onto school campuses more often. COVID really broke that rhythm, and shockingly, it's still hard to get back into that pattern. We need to set foot on campuses and make sure the priorities that we've set out as a board are actually being adhered to. Because we get told, oh yeah, we're doing that. Oh, we got that great program, we're doing that for the kids. Then you hear from families like, it's not happening. We need to trust but verify and get our feet into those classrooms.
So I totally agree with John, and I have seen some of that been going on, so my trust is building. I have been in classrooms last year and saw morning time with the communities and what they, Lucy and I went, and it was, you could see what they were doing. And I think that sometimes the issues are, and we should understand the issues and where we have to break barriers, is that not every teacher feels comfortable doing everything, where we need more work in terms of professional development, where we can give some assistance, where we can bring in some support. I think that we need to ask those questions on a regular basis and be able to give our staff and our teachers the help that they need to be able to do the work that they need to do. And I've seen that, and I've heard the questions that come out of the uncomfortable conversations that our teachers are having about all of this. And so we need to make sure that they know they're in a safe place, and that we know that we can bring this material and bring these things to our kids.
What's true, I think, like, John mentioned, that we need to just to visit and talk and be present at the schools to understand what's happening. And I know in the past we've done, and hopefully we'll begin them this year again, and they have what they call the walkthroughs, educational, with the teachers and the superintendent needs us, or just the board members, 2 or 3 of us get together and walk through to see the classrooms in action. That's really the only way you're going to see if when we're talking about the 6 priorities that Dr. Shelton is promoting is working. Then yes, we do have professional development, we help, and we're there to train, but still you're not gonna see it in action until we're actually in the classrooms. So that's what I think, most of the board members are committing themselves to be in the classrooms this year and see what's going on.
Thank you. Any other index cards? All right, then, for this, our last question of the evening, we'll, same kind of thing, except we'll move, from left to right now, starting with you, Maria Leon Vasquez. Without referencing the other candidates, tell us why Santa Monica voters should not only vote, but vote for you. Maria Leon Vasquez.
Well, I think you have to have a good, strong perspective of students, of all students in this district. And I think I have a great perspective because of, like I said, I've been here 24 years, but I've really been here 50 years. I just was been counting with the Democratic Party that I've been involved with Democratic politics since 1974. So, so for me, it's really understanding and engaging and I've been there, I've got the knowledge base, I've got the legal background. And my kids are going through already, my kids are some USD graduates, and I have my grandbabies, so people are like, why are you running again, you don't have kids? I do, I've got 2 grandbabies, one in Edison and one that will be coming in the upper pipeline. So I'm here to say to the children that they have a great ride like my 2 children.
So I feel very connected to this community. I have been working towards bettering our schools for 15 years, and I am truly committed. I found my passion when it came to my children's education and every other child in this district's education. And I'm more of a practical person. I have what I think is logic that I can bring to a board that has a lot of really, has a lot of diversity in thinking, and I think that's my strong point. I can absolutely bring practicality and to the board. I have really deep community ties, and I appreciate what this district has done for my children, and I am here to ensure that that gets done for every other child that comes through our doors.
So like Jennifer, I spent 12 years preparing for this job as a PTA leader, as a parent leader, as a dad standing out on the playground, making sure kids don't fight when they're playing handball, which I failed at miserably. I've been on this job for 8 years. I hope to do another 4. It's an amazing 20 to 30 hour a week volunteer job. People don't understand the amount of work that we put in as school board members, and we do it because we love the work. Campaigns, not so much, but we love the work. As for me, I've taught in preschool, I've taught in college, I've created curriculum, I have an exposure at the beginning, at the end, and all throughout the middle. We are a unified board when it comes to our priorities. We don't disagree over much. But we all have different voices. And I'm sure my colleagues up here will tell you that maybe they hear my voice a little too much sometimes on certain topics, but that's who I am. And, love it or leave it, that's why you should vote for me, because you know that I'll always be out there speaking the truth to what I feel needs to be addressed.
All right, on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica Education Fund and the Committee for Racial Justice, we thank all of you for taking part in tonight's candidates forum and for stepping forward to run for office. We also thank Maria Rodriguez, Joanne Berlin, Gina Fraser, Karen Cleary, Angela Scott, Robbie Jones, Reverend Janet Keeman, and Patty Braun, who volunteered to help us out this evening. And this forum will be available for replay on the co-sponsors YouTube channels. For more information on both local and state elections, we encourage you to check out Vote 411 at www.vote411.org. Vote 411 is the League of Women Voters nationwide nonpartisan online guide to federal, state, and local elections. We also invite you to join us on Sunday, October 6th at 6 p.m. here at the Thelma Terry Center for our Santa Monica City Council Candidates Forum, co-sponsored by the Committee for Racial Justice and the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica Education Fund. The format will again be hybrid. And finally, we also invite you to attend a second Board of Education forum that will be held on September 30th and co-sponsored by the League and the Santa Monica Malibu Council of PTAs. That one will be held in the school district's boardroom and will begin at 6:30 p.m. We also want to thank you, our audience. Thank you all so much for your interest. It truly takes all of us to make democracy work. And remember, elections are won by those who vote. Thank you and good night.
Thanks, Erika.
Do you want me to close it down?